somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. This is the award-winning podcast, ParaReality.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for listening tonight. My name is Sandman, and I'm going to be your guide through this strange realm of ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, conspiracy theories, and other unsolved mysteries that I like to call ParaReality. And joining me in the co-pilot seat tonight is Eric, back in the house.
What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing?
Man, been a minute since we've seen each other. We're still socially distancing here in the bunker. So everything's going good. How about you?
All good. Yeah, I'm staying healthy. Living life. Can't complain. Made a little trip over to East Tennessee. Well, Southeast Tennessee. Chattanooga this weekend.
Sweet.
And had a good time. So, yeah.
What'd you do?
Tennessee Aquarium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're ever in Chattanooga, check out the Tennessee Aquarium. It's very well done. Really good. Really nice area. Good. Just like, I don't know. When you think of Tennessee, aquarium is not the first thing you think of.
Yeah. I think of country music and barbecue, and then maybe the Smokies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but they did a really good job, and cool fish. They have a river and an ocean portion, and you do both, so it was fun. It took about an hour and a half. Yeah,
I've been. It's been several years. I've been.
Yeah.
It's a cool place.
Yeah,
Chattanooga's a cool little.
Yeah, very cool upcoming city. Nice restaurants. Good time.
So, I was gonna say something, and I totally can't remember.
Just blanked. That happens. Yeah.
You started talking about Chattanooga, and I was like, "Duh." I just totally wiped it out there. Maybe I'll think of it in a minute, and we'll.
Yeah, no worries. We're still in the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, man, I hate that. Now I'm going to be sitting here. I'm going to be off my game because in the back of my head, I'm going to think, what was I thinking?
Yeah, so I'm in the process of finding my own apartment, and once I get my new apartment and have some space to myself, the World We Live In podcast will be back.
Dude, you read my mind. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it might be. That's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Because I was going to say, admittedly, I haven't tried to check out anything that's been going on. So I guess I have the answer to my question there. There's really nothing going on.
Yeah, so I went and looked at a couple places this past week, and looking at the November time frame, somewhere around then to move in. And so, I'll probably start it up somewhere around then. But, I just wanted to... If anybody has listened, I appreciate it, so I just wanted to give you an update.
So, are you going to do it by yourself? Because I know Kyle had been your co-host. Is he going to come back? Or
I'll probably start doing it by myself. I have a buddy that I got dinner with this past weekend that might be interested in helping me out as well. So,
made the offer. Have you made the offer? I mean,
have not made the offer yet.
Yeah. You got to scope these people out.
You got to background check all that.
Yeah,
jazz.
I know exactly.
Yeah, of course.
I need your credit report.
Yep, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
So, that's going to be good to restart. You miss it, don't you?
I do miss it. Yeah. It's just the area we were using at the house, and like we were using Kyle's like desktop and stuff, and now he's got, because everyone's working from the home, so now he's got, that's his office. That's his workstation, and I don't want to be like, hey, can I borrow your desktop computer to do the podcast? And I have a MacBook Air, and it just doesn't have. I got a lot of stuff on here, and it just doesn't have the space to run like a bunch of episodes.
So you're gonna have to get a new supercomputer.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna have to get or I have had this for like 6 years, so I might get a bigger laptop.
Ancient.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, so that's what happened with me here in the bunker.
Exactly.
Was I had to, my computer was, I want to say I got that in 2007. Yeah. I mean, it was old, dude. I mean, like that super old. I could be making that up too, but it certainly wasn't any past 2010.
Yeah.
And there's just too much stuff going on, and it wasn't running modern stuff. So totally. I had to go buy a new supercomputer mainly for this, to be honest.
Yeah.
But now I'm running so much other stuff. I don't work from home per se, but it's better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And I've got Man, I've got computers all over the place now. It's really weird. I went from having a desktop to I had a laptop that I was using when I went back to college.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is super old too. And I was like, I'm not buying a new laptop until I get out of school. This is lasting me,
Yes.
you know. So I did everything on the laptop for school. And then one of the I work with a local healthcare coalition up here, and I serve on the executive board, and I'm in charge of basically our website and our social media accounts and all that other sorts of stuff. So they got me a laptop.
Yeah.
And after I finished school, not too long ago, I got I finished school a year and a half ago or something like that. But not too long ago, I got a Microsoft Pro.
Oh, nice.
You know?
Yeah.
And so now I have my desktop, my old laptop, my Microsoft Pro, and a laptop that they got me through the coalition, and my work issued me a laptop. So in my bag that I carry like to work and to my coalition meetings and everything, I've got like 3 computers.
You're just teched out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 3 computers, and it weighs like 85 pounds. It's crazy. So now I'm super teched out. I should just set them all up one day. And
Yeah, you should. Just connect the screens.
Get it. This is my command center. Yeah. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about what we're going to do the show on tonight.
Let's do it.
So, Eric actually had this idea, and thought it was a great one. He texted me just like out of the blue one day. He was like, "Hey, you ever done a show about big cats, black cats? What'd you say? Something like
I
that?
said, well, they call them like ABCs, anomalous
Alien
big cats,
or
or
anomalous big cat.
alien,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I was listening to one of my favorites, Mysterious Universe, and they had.
Yeah.
They did a whole spiel on like some of the big cat flaps in England, particularly because it was relating to another story they were doing, and I was like, I've never done an episode on these, and they talk about them frequently, and so I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, I've actually done back in the early 2000s, the 2005-6 range, somewhere around in there. I had to look back in the archives, but I've done a show on the ABCs, and I've done something on black dogs as well.
Yep.
And that was basically what I said, and we just basically come up with the idea of combining them together.
Might as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to devote our episode to tonight is alien big cats, or ABCs, and black dogs. So I'm not going to do the usual email thing, since I just did a whole entire episode devoted to nothing but answering emails. And by the way, I really should have told you this before.
I saw that come out. I have not listened to that one yet. Yeah.
I have gotten so many responses from that. I think I'm going to have to make it a regular thing again.
Nice.
I used to do it regular
back
in the day, and then I'm always trying to change things up. So I was like, it was always a pretty popular episode, but I just wanted to change things up. So I haven't done one in a while, and I decided I needed to do one. And because I had some emails that I hadn't answered, and I try to do at least one on the show, and I had some that I had answered people, but I hadn't talked about on the show, and I'm like, just let me do this. So now I've got all these people responding because they've listened to the podcast, and wow,
good stuff. That's good stuff.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to forward you some stuff.
Yeah.
It's
we've had that discussion.
Yes. It's quite interesting. And I had this. I know you said you hadn't listened to it yet, but there's this one instance where I'm talking about 2 emails that I got from a contact form from my old website, which I don't use anymore. It's still on the web because I haven't deleted it, because I had plans for it. I was going to try to do something with it, and it just never has worked out. And I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
You know, and but it's still there. And there's a contact form on there, and I had these in the same day, both at the exact same times, like 5:30 in the morning. I think it was July 31st. I got 2 emails off of the contact list, and it just had, the subject was the same on both of them. It was like chemtrail something or other.
Okay.
And it had names of the people, and then in the comments it just had like one word that was like 2 or 3 words combined all into one word. It was really weird.
Okay.
One was like Piper CO Torres. That was the message.
Okay.
So I started like, what? This has got to be some spam crap, you know?
Yeah.
So I started like looking up stuff like Piper Torres or Piper Company, Piper Colorado, blah, 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 all this other sorts of stuff. And it was really weird. I think it's basically, I've ruled it as it's nothing at all. Some spam stuff. But I was talking about it. I included that on the episode, and I was like, hey, if anybody's out there and wants to help, you know, if you think you know what it is,
yeah,
because I can't find anything, let me know. Well, someone actually was like started digging into this.
Did they get anything?
Kind of, sort of.
Oh,
it's somebody that's a regular listener to the show, and she started doing she's into numerology, and she started doing some numerology stuff, and got some interesting hits off of this. But in the end, we just basically, it's just spam is all it is.
yeah.
But it's the stuff that she came up with was really interesting. And
Okay.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Casima for doing that, because I didn't think anyone would actually, you know, take me up on it.
Yeah.
But her name's Casima, and thanks, Casima. I appreciate it.
So she sent us emails before.
Yes.
Yeah. She's been a good listener. Yeah.
She is.
That's awesome.
She is.
That's awesome.
I read a couple of her emails on the show, and so I appreciate her
for sure
answering that. But chalk it up to it being absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But I'll forward you some stuff. I'll let you see.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
really,
for sure.
really, yeah. So anyway, after we get finished rambling here, let me tell you how you can get in touch with us tonight, just in case you may want to. First of all, well, there are a few different ways. First of all, you can email the show, sandman@parareality.com. That's my email address. Eric is World We Live In Pod.
World We Live In Podcast.
Damn it. World We Live In Podcast at gmail.com.
At gmail.
So sandman@parareality.com or World We Live In Podcast at gmail.com. Second, you can always find me on Facebook by going to facebook.com/sandman.parareality, I believe is how it's listed actually on Facebook. Or you can just type in a ParaReality on the search engine there on Facebook. And Eric, your Facebook page is...
No Facebook.
No? Okay. I thought you had a Facebook. Oh, never mind. You don't.
I do
Okay.
not. No
It's
Facebook.
Twitter.
Twitter, yes. Twitter.
World We Live In Pod.
World We Live In Pod. There it is. Yep.
Yes. And then my Twitter is at ParaRealRadio, all one word. And Eric is at World We Live In Pod. And lastly, you can always call the studio line at 615-692-1170 and leave a message. Just remember that by leaving me a message that you're giving me permission to play your comment or question back on the show. So if you don't want that to happen, you need to say so somewhere in your message. So those are all the different ways you can contact us here. I'll go over them once again. Email address is sandman@parareality.com for me. Eric's is worldweliveinpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook by going to facebook.com/sandman.parareality. Follow me and Eric on Twitter. My username is at ParaRealRadio. Eric's is at World We Live Pod. Not World We Live In Pod, but World We Live Pod.
Correct.
or you can always call the studio line at 615-692-1170 and leave a message on that voicemail. Just remember, if you don't want me to play that comment back on the air, you need to let me know somewhere in your message. And look, we're always looking for interesting stories that you may have to tell. So maybe you just want to get something off your chest and tell a weird story, or maybe you think you got a good story to be an actual guest on the show. Whatever it is, if you want to just tell your story, just do it. I think there's a 3-minute time limit on the voice message. So just leave a voicemail. If you get cut off, call back up and pick back up where you left off, because we're always looking for interesting stories. So don't feel afraid. 615-692-1170. All right, so let's start talking about some black dogs.
Let's do it.
So when I was researching this last time, I found that the black dog phenomena is pretty much relegated to the UK area.
Yeah.
And things have not changed since then. It's still pretty much in the UK. And there's more info out there about them now than what there was whenever I did my original show back in the early 2000s. Man, there's like, I wish I would have counted them, but there's something like 20 different versions of black dogs out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about all 20 of them because that would take too long. So I'm just going to talk about just a few that interest me, that I think are the most interesting. There's one that, of course, everybody is probably familiar with, that I'm going to wait for one of the last ones on that. But so let's start with a little bit of history about black dogs. So the black dog is the name that's given to a being found primarily in the folklores of the British Isles. The black dog's essentially a nighttime or nocturnal apparition. Lots of times it's said to be associated with the devil, or they call it a hellhound. Its appearance is regarded as, most of the times, a precursor of death. And it's generally supposed to be larger than a normal dog, and it often has large, red, glowing eyes. And it's also often associated with electrical storms and associated with crossroads. You know, the crossroads at the
went down to the crossroads.
Yeah. Crossroads at night, you know, with the big tree by it or whatever, you know. And other places that it's been known to haunt are places of execution and ancient pathways. So trails that go back a long time in antiquity, you know, through the forest or through the woods or whatever, said to have black dogs associated with them. So the origins of the black dog are really difficult to discern, man, because there's number one, there's so many of them.
Yep.
Excuse me. And number two, they go back so far, and
it's almost like where you, especially it's the cats as well, you don't know where it began.
Yeah. And it's really hard to like say, okay, this is the definitive, this is where it started. We think we know, but we're not really too sure, you know. So it's really impossible to ascertain whether this originated in Celtic or Germanic folklore in British culture. And throughout European mythology, dogs have been associated with death. And some examples of this are, and I'm going to just throw this out there, slaughter these names because they're ancient, like Celtic names.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So, let me here.
Clear your throat.
All right. The Quinn Anwen, it's CWNANNWN. Other examples are the Garmr, GARMR, or Cerberus, and all of us know what Cerberus is, the three-headed guardian of Hades. All of these dogs are some way guardians of the underworld. This association seems to be due to the scavenging habits of dogs. Now, it's possible that the black dog is some sort of survival of these beliefs. Black dogs are almost universally regarded as being malevolent, and a few are said to be like directly harmful to humans.
Okay.
But there are also some, like the Gert dog, G-U-R-T, the Gert dog in Somerset, England, and the black dog of the Hanging Hills in Connecticut, which is here in the United States, that are said to be benevolent. So it runs the gambit, but most oftentimes, if you see a black dog, it's not supposed to be good.
Yes, understandably so. Yeah.
So some of the better-known black dogs are the Barghest, B-A-R-G-H-E-S-T, Barghest of Yorkshire, and the Black Shuck of East Anglia. Various other forms are recorded in folklore in Britain and elsewhere. Other names for the black dog are Hairy Jack, Skriker or Striker, Padfoot, Churchyard Beast, Shug Monkey. Yep, I don't know how you get that out of a dog.
Sure,
but, there's the Kusith. It's C-U, separate word, S-I-T-H, like,
Kusith.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The Gallytrot, Capelthwaite, the Moth Doog.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hateful Thing. This is one of my favorites. Swooning Shadow.
Oh,
I like that one.
Ominous.
Yeah. And it's either Boggy or Bogey Beast. It's B-O-G-E-Y.
Okay.
And that's in Lancashire.
Nice.
The Gytrash is G-Y-T-R-A-S-H. The Gytrash. The Gert Dog. I've already mentioned.
That
G-U-R-T.
might be my favorite, the Gert dog.
I had an Aunt Gert, and that reminds me of her.
Did you really? Huh.
The Ode Road, the O-U-D-E-R-O-D-E.
Okay.
The Ode Road Ogden. Yeah, so, the Tribicina, T-R-I-B-I-C-E-N-A.
Okay, I haven't heard
Not to
of
be
that one.
confused with John Cena, who is a wrestler. Yeah.
Definitely not.
The Tribicina is in the Canary Islands, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
And there's also one called Dip.
Dip?
Dip.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are just a handful
Yep.
of some of the many, many different versions of black dogs. So there's a lot. Now, black dogs have been reported from almost all countries of England. The exceptions are that I found were Middlesex and Rutland. They don't have any
sightings.
Everywhere else in England, there's a black dog roaming around somewhere.
For sure.
On Dartmoor, the notorious Squire Cabell was said to have been a huntsman who sold his soul to the devil. And when he died in 1677, it's said that black dogs were to have appeared around his burial chamber.
Oh.
So, excuse me. The ghostly huntsman is said to ride with these black dogs, and this is the tale that inspired Arthur Conan Doyle to write The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is probably one of his best-known stories. Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you ever seen, by the way, Hound of the Baskervilles?
I've not, no.
Okay, so there are two versions that I know of.
Okay.
One is with one of my all-time favorite actors, Basil Rathbone, that was done, I want to say, in the 30s.
Okay.
Basil Rathbone in I think the 30s and maybe up to the early 40s did a string of Sherlock Holmes movies.
Okay.
And the guy that played Dr. Watson was this dude named Nigel Bruce. Mm-hmm. And they played the same characters for I don't know how many films. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But the one that's probably the best known is the one that Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing did.
Oh, yes.
With Hammer Studios.
Okay.
That one actually is better, I'll have to say. Either one of those two, if you get a chance to watch it, especially the Hammer version, you need to watch it.
Okay,
it's really good.
I'll remember that.
So I'm going to take, out of all of those that I just mentioned, I'm going to take just a handful out of that handful of that I mentioned, the ones that I think are the most interesting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them.
Nice.
All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is the Kusith. This literally means barrow hound. And I didn't take the time to look up what barrow hound means. So, but that's what it literally means, is barrow hound. Now, this is Scottish.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an enormous otherworldly hound said to haunt the Scottish Highlands. Now, this thing is roughly the size of a cow or a large calf, which is a huge dog. And the Kusith was said to be either black or very, very dark green in color, with shaggy fur and a long braided or curled tail.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm looking up a picture right now.
Oh, yeah.
Not a real picture, a rendering.
A rendering? Okay.
And yeah, you're spot on. Spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did my research. In Irish mythology, the Kusith was said to be an immense coal-black hound with glowing or flaming eyes. Now, this dog, this version of the black dog, was feared as a harbinger of death and would appear to bear away the soul of a person to the afterlife. It's kind of similar to the Grim Reaper.
Totally.
Then, according to legend, the creature was capable of hunting silently, but would occasionally let out 3 terrifying barks that could be heard for long distances as far away as ships at sea.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty far.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and this was said to be a warning to farmers to lock up their women.
Oh.
Yeah, because if they didn't, the Kusith would abduct them and take them to a fairy mound to supply milk for the children of the fairies.
Of course. I should have known that it got back around to the fairy myths.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Wasn't expecting that, though.
That is kind of disturbing.
Very, very disturbing.
Because I'm going to take your wife and use her as a human milk factory.
Yeah, for an interdimensional fairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I read this, when I was doing my homework for the show, it put this image in my head that I had totally forgotten about until now. And I have this image in my head of little... how big are fairies? Are small anyway, right?
I mean, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No,
I just have this disturbing image of fairies.
I think that might be because of some traditional renderings. Probably. I mean, I did as well.
It's not like Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But,
well,
I mean,
still, I have images in my head of fairies,
Yeah.
fairy children.
Well, there's that famous, and I think it's been proven to be a fake, of someone supposedly in England took a picture of fairies, but it's fake, and they're really
little girl.
Small.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Can't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the Kusith, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong too, but that's the best I can do.
That's cool. It sounds good.
Thank you. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Black Dog of Newgate. Now, the Black Dog of Newgate's been said to haunt the Newgate prison for over 400 years. It makes appearances pretty much exclusively before someone's going to be executed. I don't know if they're still executing people at Newgate prison. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if you're at Newgate and you're going to be executed, you're probably going to see a black dog appear.
Heads up.
Yeah, it's kind of the Black Dog in Newgate. Now, according to legend, in 1596, so this goes back a couple of years, a scholar was sent to Newgate prison because they said he was a witch and he was practicing witchcraft. But unfortunately for him, he was killed and eaten by the starving prisoners at the prison before he even went to trial.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So, unfortunately for this guy, not only did he probably get accused of something that he was innocent of, but before he could even go try to prove his innocence, he got unceremoniously eaten.
I thought you were going to say he was killed and eaten by the black dog.
No.
His prisoners cannibalized him.
Yeah, that's worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely worse.
So the Black Dog of Newgate was said to appear soon after this happened. So that's the first appearance recorded was in 1596. And not only did this dog appear, and terrify the men that supposedly killed and ate this dude. But the dog killed the guards. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. The men were so terrified that they killed their guards and escaped.
Oh.
And the dog hunted them down and killed them all.
Almost in a revenge type of order,
Yeah,
sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, this one is, I would not say that this one is a evil necessarily. It's not necessarily a hellhound,
Yeah.
but it is a portent of death.
For sure.
For
sure.
So if you're in Newgate prison, I guess the moral of the story is don't kill and eat anyone, or you're going to get killed by the black dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of gruesome.
Very gruesome.
And I thought it was very interesting because you don't, most of the time, hear the gruesomeness out of stuff like this. You hear, the dog appears and someone dies, or it's a warning that, your wives are going to get kidnapped and drugged to be human milk farms for fairies or stuff like that. So it's kind of gruesome. That's why they interested me.
Definitely, yeah.
Morbid, yes. And then the third one that I liked, or maybe that's not a good word. The third one that piqued my interest was the Barghest, Barghest, Barghest. The Barghest is a mythical, monstrous black dog with large teeth and claws. So the word ghost in northern England was pronounced as guest, G-U-E-S-T, guest,
see,
a guest. And the origin of this is thought to be the combination of Burr guest or town ghost. So Burr,
nice.
B-U-R-H, Burr or Bruh. Bruggest, I guess it would be Bruggest, means town ghost. So maybe the pronunciation would not necessarily be Barghest, even though that's how it's spelled. It could be Bruggest. Once again, I'm terrible with pronouncing stuff like that, so I don't know.
I mean, the heavy English accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One notable case about that involves the Barghest is said to frequent a remote gorge named Trawler's Gill in the Yorkshire Dales area of Yorkshire, England.
Okay.
There was even a ballad called The Legend of the Trawler's Gill that can be found in William Holmes' Everyday Book, which was written in 1830. This recounts the tale of a man who ventures forth into the horrid gill of the limestone hill, end quote,
Ooh.
in order to summon and confront the Barghest in an act of ritual magic.
Classic.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the man's lifeless body is discovered soon after with what they call inhuman marks upon his breast. And there's also a story of the Barghest entering the city of York occasionally, where, according to legend, it preys on lone travelers in the city's narrow, what they call snickleways. I guess that's like an alley.
Yeah, probably.
And it's like another harbinger of death type deal, but it's one of those that you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you cross its path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you jump ahead to the 1870s, there's even a story about a Barghest that was supposedly a shapeshifter. And this was somewhere near Darlington, and it was said to take the form of a headless man who would vanish in flames. It could also take the form of a headless lady. I'm seeing a theme here.
Yep.
A white cat, a rabbit, a dog, or a black dog. And another Barghest was said to live in an uncanny-looking dale between Darlington and Houghton, and yet another haunted area of like wasteland between Wergan and Headingley Hill near Leeds. Yeah, I don't know where all these places are.
Yeah.
But they're all over in the UK.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And the Barghest often serves as an omen of death. At the passing of it says a notable person, so I guess someone that's prominent in the community. The Barghest may appear, followed by all the other dogs in the local area as kind of like a funeral procession.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
I know. This is supposed to be heralding the person's death with howling and barking, and if anyone were to get in the Barghest's way, it would strike out with its paw and leave a wound that never heals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And besides taking the form of a large black dog with fiery eyes and all the other, white cat, rabbit, headless people and stuff like that, they also say it can become invisible and walk about with the sound of rattling chains, like your classic ghost type deal.
Yeah, definitely classic.
And it may also foretell the death of an individual by lying across the threshold of that person's house. And the last thing that I found interesting about the Barghest was that it cannot cross running water, kind of like a vampire.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on with the Barghest, and I thought that it was very interesting that the Barghest can take all of these totally unrelated forms, headless people and cats and dogs and invisible stuff. It's kind of like that area of England just used the Barghest to explain anything
It's a good point.
know.
Yeah.
Out of all of these legends, that's the one, or all the ones that I'm talking about anyway.
Yeah.
That's the one that I would say is probably, if there's one that you could lay your hand on and say that definitely has no basis in anything, yeah, I think it would be that one.
Yeah.
That's just like, the story of, if you don't eat all your peas, little boy, and say your prayers at night, the boogeyman will come out and get you, and
Yep.
the wind blows and it's like, oh, it's the boogeyman,
It's the Barghest.
Yeah. So this other one that I'm going to talk about is the one that's probably the most known and the one that there's the most info about. It's called the Black Shuck. And I'm
Okay.
sure you've probably heard of Black Shuck.
I have, yep.
Yeah, that was, I remember talking about the Black Shuck back in the early 2000s when I first did this. So in Norfolk and Suffolk in England, which is in the in the northern part of Essex, there's a black dog known as Black Shuck, or there's a couple of other names that it goes by, Old Shock or Old Shuck or just Shock. But most commonly it's Black Shuck.
Okay.
Now, Black Shuck is regarded as malevolent, and stories about this thing range from just scaring people to killing them outright. And they also say that it's a portent to the person dying themselves, or someone that's close to, like if you see it, someone that's close to you will die. Like you see it, and then your dad dies, and you go, "Oh, the Black Shuck was telling me my dad was going to die."
Yeah.
Not that I want your dad to die or anything.
Of course not.
So there are tales that in 1577 it attacked the church in the market town of Bungay, killing 2 people and appearing on the same day at the church in the nearby village of Blithburg, taking the lives of another 3 and leaving claw marks on the door of the church, which remain there to this very day. And I've seen pictures of this, and there's some black
clawed.
marks
Yeah.
some black marks on the door that could be claw marks.
Who knows?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
In the parish of Overstrand, there's a little like lane, a little road that's known as Shuck's Lane, because the Black Shuck frequently made appearances there. So it's even got a road named after it. This thing is so popular. And they say that if the spot where it was just seen is examined, then you can find scorch marks on the ground and smell brimstone.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
Oh, Shucky's he's a powerful one.
Yeah.
Anyone who sees Black Shuck describes a large dog with black, mangy fur. Now, these dogs would supposedly be larger than normal. Some people even say it was as big as a horse, and they were foaming at the mouth like they were like deranged or rabid or, something like that.
Yeah.
And I found a description of Black Shuck that was published in 1901.
Okay.
And it says, he takes the form of a huge black dog and prowls along dark lanes and lonesome field footpaths where, although his howling makes the hearer's blood run cold, his footfalls make no sound. But such an encounter might bring you the worst of luck. It is even said to meet him is to be warned that your death will occur before the end of the year. So, you will do well to shut your eyes if you hear him howling. Shut them even if you are uncertain whether it is the dog, fiend, or the voice of the wind you hear.
Oh.
You may perhaps doubt his existence, and like other learned folks, tell us that his story is nothing but the old Scandinavian myth of the Black Hound of Odin, brought to us by the Vikings.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So perhaps the most distinctive characteristics of Black Shuck are his eyes, which are the classic big red eyes. Some say they're like saucer size, depends on the size of the dog.
Yeah.
Furthermore, these Black Shuck sightings are always said to appear suddenly and without any warning. Then they disappear just as quick as they arrived. And if you do catch a glimpse of one, it's believed that to be either a protective spirit or some believe that it's either a protective spirit or a portent of death, maybe even a family guardian watching over everyone or warning you of certain doom. So there is a little bit of this could be a protector type thing if you just see it like flash before you and go away. But most of the stories about Black Shuck are not good.
Yeah.
But either way, if you see him, it's not good at all.
Yep.
Even if he is making the flash appearance before you, because apparently somebody's going to die. So Black Shuck has been seen the most, I think, and is the most the most widely known out of all of these. I really think that the Black Shuck has been around so long and has had so much told about him, kind of like the other dog that before him. I have to go back and look at the name now. The Barghest. There's so many stories about the Barghest in it because it goes so far back, But Black Shuck goes back about 20 years before the Barghest, so things get confusing, and you know how things can morph over the centuries.
For sure.
But one thing that is common in the theme of all these dogs in the UK is that whether they're a guardian, so to speak, or a hellhound, if you see one, it never means anything good.
It's not good.
Yeah, it always has something to do with somebody dying. However, there are some guardian black dogs. And these refer to those relatively rare black dogs that are neither omens of death nor causes of death. So instead, they do things like guide lost travelers to protect them from danger. And stories of this type became more widespread starting around the early 1900s. There's different versions of this tale, but the popular tale is, a man walking along a lonely forest road at night. All of a sudden, this large black dog appears by his side and stays there until the man leaves the forest. And on his return journey back through the woods, the dog reappears and does the same thing, stays by his side until the man leaves the forest. And then years later, 2 convicted prisoners tells the chaplain at the local church that they would have robbed and murdered that man who was in the forest that night, but were intimidated by the presence of the dog.
Oh, I see.
So the dog serves as a guardian and protector. So you do have those rare stories, but most oftentimes dogs are portents of death. And most oftentimes they are all in the UK. However, we do have a few black dog legends here in the United States. And that's what I'm going to talk about now.
Nice.
So there is a legend of a small black dog that has persisted in Meridian, Connecticut since the 19th century. And this dog is said to haunt the Hanging Hills, which is a series of rock ridges and gorges that serves as a popular recreation area in the town. So the first non-local account came from somebody with the initials W.H.C. Sycan in the Connecticut Quarterly, which is described as a death omen. It said that if you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy.
Okay.
It shall be for sorrow if you meet it twice, and the third time shall bring death. So you only want to see this dog once. Yeah. So that's
third striker out.
Yeah. So if you see a stray small black dog in Meridian, Connecticut, you only want to see that stray small black dog one time because you're going to get something good going to happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's a New England dog story that comes from southeastern Massachusetts. Interesting enough, in that area is the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
So in the mid-1970s, the town of Abington was reportedly terrorized by a large black dog that caused, and I quote, a panic. A local fireman saw the dog attacking some ponies, and local police unsuccessfully searched for it at first, but eventually one of the officers saw the dog walking along the train tracks and fired off a shot at it.
Yeah.
Apparently, the bullet had no effect on the animal, and it wandered off, never to be seen again. Obviously, no possible way the police officer could have missed.
No
because we all know police officers never miss. I'm surprised they only shot it one time.
Yeah.
Because we all know police officers shoot multiple times.
They do. This is true.
So, but whatever happened, they scared it off. And then we have probably the most popular black dog legend here in the United States, and every over-the-road trucker has heard about this.
Yeah, here
the
we
legend
go.
of the black dog.
Yep.
That's right. They even did a movie about it with Patrick Swayze meet. So the black dog in trucking lore supposedly comes when a truck driver has been driving too long and starts to fall asleep at the wheel. So this person will see a black dog type object figure running towards the truck, and just before the crash happens. And the apparition of the black dog causes the driver to either steer off the road or steer into traffic or whatever, but it usually results in an accident that kills the truck driver or some innocent person.
Yeah.
So I've got a friend that used to be an over-the-road driver.
Okay.
He told me legends of the black dog.
Yeah.
I don't think that I was trying to remember. I was going to try and get in touch with him and ask him if he actually saw it himself. Yeah. I cannot remember if he told me any stories about himself seeing the black dog, but I do remember him telling me stuff about the black dog with other truck drivers. Because, you know, one of the things that I didn't know, but over-the-road drivers, since they drive a lot at night, they listen to a lot of Coast to Coast AM. And I did not know this.
Yeah, huge trucking listener base.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was one of those people, obviously.
For sure.
So, if you see a black dog, how can you protect yourself? I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because I've actually seen a black dog.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the story in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So, there's little in the way that, little in what you can do if you see a black dog, because generally there's nothing that can be done. By the time you've seen one, it's pretty much already too late. But there are ways of warding off black dogs, but what you can find about them, how to do it, they're vague and nondescript, so it doesn't really do you a lot of good. In Christian countries, simply wearing a cross or the picture of a saint is supposed to be enough to keep the dog at bay. Other superstitions include things like carrying a coffin nail with you at all times.
Okay.
Yeah. Sprinkling fresh water on the ground behind you as you walk, which is totally doable.
Holy water or just
fresh water.
Just fresh water.
Fresh water.
Okay.
Not holy.
Okay.
But why not make it holy? Holy, fresh holy water.
A little extra bang.
Yeah. I just freshly baptized right now. Moving bodies of water like rivers and streams are supposed to be places that you avoid. You can also protect yourself by having a pair of scissors, preferably made of iron.
Okay.
Because we make so many iron scissors these days.
Yeah, so many.
You have to carry that, though, on your person at all times.
Okay.
Yeah, but also you want to avoid places like crossroads, moving bodies of water like rivers and streams, and stay away from woods or long stretches of field, especially at night and if you're by yourself.
Gotcha.
So really go by a cross.
Sounds,
Yeah.
best bet.
That's the easiest one,
Yeah.
right? So, did you know that I've seen a black dog?
I was trying to think. I don't think I've heard this story before.
No, you haven't, because I don't recall ever telling it.
No, yeah.
I might have, but if I have, it's been a long time ago.
Okay.
So, back when I first moved up to the big nasty up here, I was working for Opryland.
Mm.
And we used to work, what I did involved working long shifts, a lot of time, like 15 or 16 hours.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. About half of that time was fun time, though. It really
Okay.
was.
Okay.
But it was still a long day,
I mean, yeah,
regardless.
it's a long day
regardless.
yeah.
It was still a long day. And so I would go to work and have to be there at, I don't know, it was 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember what time our shift started.
Yeah.
And if you had it wasn't every day that you had to work these long shifts,
Yes.
but frequently you did. And if you had that day, generally it was not until like 11 o'clock at night before you got off.
Yeah.
So, like I said, a long day. And then by the time you get to your car and you start, you do all that you got to do, your normal, I'm leaving work, you're driving home, and it's closer to 11:30, midnight,
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, my home was probably about 20 or so miles away from Opryland, so it wasn't that far, but still we're talking, Nashville, so it's not a straight shot. You got to take all the, all these friggin', so it takes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get home. So, anyway, I was coming home one night after working one of these long shifts, and I was taking one of the back roads, and I was probably less than 5 miles from home.
Okay.
And I was taking one of the back roads, and it's a 2-lane road, and there are a lot of trees that line each side of the road, and it kind of reminds you of the classic Batman going into the Batcave type deal, you know. And so it was probably 11:30 or so, close to midnight. I'm driving along. I'm tired.
Yep.
As I've been up all day. And coming at me in this one particular stretch of road, I saw the biggest black dog running, not straight at me, but it was on the side of the road coming towards me, and you know how like dogs run and they have that wavy loping kind of gait, that's how this dog was running.
Okay.
And it had big glowing eyes.
Oh, geez.
And it was coming, like I said, not head on, but it was on the side of the road coming at me. And I was like, WTF is that? And as it passed me, of course, I slowed down and I turned around to look. It's like, what in the hell was that? I think that was a big dog. And dude, it was gone.
Damn.
Yes. Now, I'm going to leave the door open to say it could have been there could be a reasonable explanation for this.
Yeah.
I was not so tired and sleepy that I was falling asleep at the wheel, you know, but I was tired. And I'm not making this up. I freaking saw a large black dog with big glowing eyes coming at me, man. You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't slow down to a stop, but I was doing probably about 40, and I slowed down to, I don't know, I didn't look at the speedometer, but I probably slowed down to about 30 miles an hour or whatever when I saw this thing. So it's not like I was hauling ass.
Yeah.
And as it got closer, because at first I didn't know what it was, I was like, what the hell is that? There's something coming towards me, man, you know? And so I slowed down, and then I was like, that looks like a big dog. And it passed the truck. And I just turned, you know, instinctively turned to look and see what was it, where was it going, and it was gone.
Wasn't there?
It was totally gone. And there was nowhere this thing could have gone, you know, except for into the woods. And if it went into the woods, it had to have done it immediately. You know, and right, turned it like a 90 degree, you know. It was really, really weird. And I don't remember anything bad happening. You know, no one died that I know of. None of my family members died. None of my friends died that I know of, you know. So what was it? Was it trying to tell me something? I really don't know, man. I can't think of anything. I wish I could remember, like, you know, the year that it happened and what was going on in my life around that time. But I really didn't. It freaked me out, but I didn't really think anything about it. And I don't know. I wish I would have. I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention. But
that would have been interesting. Now, had you like read about any of these, or had you like started getting into that stuff?
Well, I was.
I mean,
doing the podcast.
It'd probably be hard to remember that specifically. But.
Well, I was doing the podcast at that time, but I hadn't done anything about black dogs or alien big cats. And the reason I know that is because I remember when I decided to do an episode on that, as I was researching it and everything, I was like, holy shit, that's what I saw. You know,
you remembered it.
And I might have told the tale on the podcast. I can't remember. I had to go back into the archives and listen to it. But so, you know, I was doing the podcast, yes, but I hadn't really researched anything about black dogs, didn't really know anything about them, wasn't familiar with the phenomenon or anything like that. I think, to be honest, I think the black dog thing, I got into that because I was researching alien big cats.
Okay.
I think was how I got into it.
Yeah.
But so that's my black dog story that I live to tell about.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, I believe you 100%. I think it's a real phenomenon that people see, for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I was tired, but I wasn't like, you know, falling asleep at the wheel or anything like that.
Yeah, your head wasn't like bobbing or anything.
Yeah. So I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think so.
And I'm open-minded enough to say, you know, there could be a plausible explanation, and if you've got one, I'm more than willing to listen to it. But that was freaking how many years ago, back in the early 2000s. We're not going to know what the hell it was I saw.
No,
you know,
there's no way to know 100%.
Always going to be an unsolved mystery as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
So that's all I got for the black dogs.
Nice. So do you think are you in the camp that it's like that some of these are like tulpas, like thought forms?
It's very, you know, a tulpa could be anything.
Yeah, I mean the tulpa is a very general term. I just know that, like, especially considering some of those sightings from Connecticut and Massachusetts. I mean, a lot of British immigrants landed there way back in the day and settled there. So I mean, bringing over those stories and all those ideas, it's entirely possible that societies have created tulpas.
That is very true. Very true. I think
stories.
I think that's exactly what Slender Man is.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep.
I've got Slender Man stories too.
Nah, we don't need those. I don't even go there, and I don't ever want to because I know it's gonna fuck with me so hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I have heard the HBO show's fairly strange about the murders.
Oh yeah, it is. And then that movie that they did, Slender Man. I knew it was going to be horrible. I knew it, but I went to go see it at the theater anyway.
It was bad.
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. Okay. I was not disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to be bad, and it was. So there's that. Yeah. But I've seen the shit that's on YouTube.
Oh no! Yeah.
10 times better than the crap that Hollywood put out. 100%. Now, you tell me what's wrong with that story.
Yeah, I know.
You ever seen Marble Hornets?
Yes, you've told me about them, yeah.
Have you seen it? Did you watch it yet? What's
No.
wrong with you, dude?
No.
You have to see Marble Hornets.
I'm not doing it.
Okay, all right. So
I trust you.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Tell us what you got about black cats, dude.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm going to start out with some cryptozoology type stuff from Carl Schuker. He's a researcher. I don't know. I've heard his name plenty of times. I don't know outside of, well, he has a ton of books here. I did not look up all of them. I know this part of his blog, carlschuker.blogspot.com. This is talking about black cats and black lions. And not exactly all black, but just like mysterious cats and whatnot. So he might do other stuff out of cryptozoology. Most of the books on the website are concerning cryptozoology. But yes, this is from Carl Schuker. So as I think this is a good starting point because it kind of nibbles on the possibility of some of these sightings being cats that have.
I love that you say nibble.
Nibbles, yeah. That I wasn't planning on that. But so yeah, we got initially there's possibilities that cats can develop a sort of a black appearance, and this is
like naturally.
Naturally, yes, there are like black
cats born white, and it just turns black.
No, it's born black. It's like a melanin type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay, let me. Okay, I'm thinking. Maybe I should have had some alcohol. I don't know. I'm thinking house cats. I'm so sorry. We're not talking about house cats.
Not here. House cats. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm like, there's black cats all over the place, dude. I got 3 of them at the street. Okay.
No, not little six or foot long cats. Like giant African cats. And so there's that. There's also some interesting sightings. So there was this sighting on January 1st, 1986 in Mexico. Andres Rodriguez encountered a very large form of a cat near his home in Sinaloa, Mexico. Possibly a drug cartel cat. They don't know, though.
What's a drug cartel?
I'm just joking because the Sinaloa drug cartel is the biggest drug cartel.
I was going to say, I don't know what a drug cartel cat is,
but I want one. They carry drugs on their back. Yeah. So he thought this cat was about to attack him, so he shot it dead. He expected it to be either a puma or a jaguar. Mexico's 2 largest species of cats. But it looked different than both of them. So it looks like a puma in color, and there's actually a picture of it dead here. Its body was slimmer, however.
I have to see this picture.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's very slim. Legs are very, very long.
Wow, that's creepy.
Yeah, very creepy looking. And so... Oops. Yeah, so very long legs. And that picture's from the International Society of Cryptozoology. So for over 3 centuries, Mexicans have been reporting these sightings of long-limbed, tan-furred cats that they refer to as the onza, O-N-Z-A. Scientists they assumed that such accounts were merely poorly observed pumas, but a complete Onza specimen has finally been obtained. It seemed that the Mexicans had been correct after all. So, what is the Onza? Several identities have been offered, including a starved puma, a crossbreed of a puma and a jaguar, and a new puma subspecies. A completely new species in its own right. Perhaps the most intriguing suggestion was that it was a bona fide living fossil. So basically that it was a living species of something that they had thought been extinct a long time ago.
Wow, that thing looks wicked.
Very weird. So the body that this man shot dead was transported to a laboratory. It became the subject to detailed research. Early studies show that it contained adequate amounts of body fat, proving that it was not merely an emaciated puma, which was one of the possibilities. Further research ruled out crossbreed options and also the living fossil possibility. So when the full studies were published in the late 1990s, they revealed that no genetic difference had been found between this specimen and specimens of pumas, suggesting that despite its distinctive appearance, the Rodriguez Onza was nothing more than a puma, after all.
Just a long-legged.
Just a big-legged puma.
Wow.
So this find corresponded with the predictions made by Carl Schucker, actually, in 1998, when he wrote an opinion article. So, yeah, just a big puma.
It looks like, you look at it, it looks like a puma, or what we here in the States will call a cougar.
A cougar, yeah. Something like that.
But
its legs are
like
huge.
Like long. It's like
very
stilts.
Long. Yeah, so it's like, for reference, it's basically sitting on a concrete sidewalk block. So like if you're walking down the street and you're like walking on concrete, it is one of those blocks long from head to butt, and then the tail extends probably another, I don't know, foot and a half. And its legs are pretty much taking up the entire block. The entire square, I should say. That's probably a better reference. So yeah, that was really interesting. I thought I liked that example because it gave a real life, first of all, visual experience, and also the fact that it had been shot, and the pictures in reference, size reference, I should say. So, this next one is really interesting. This is in China. So this is in September 1910. While hunting in southeastern China, an American missionary named Henry R. Caldwell was watching a goat when one of his native helpers directed his attention toward something moving nearby. Caldwell thought at first that it was another native dressed in a blue garment that apparently was worn by many in the region. But he peered more closely, and this was the belly of a large tiger, but it was blue.
A blue tiger?
A blue tiger.
Wow.
So this is no ordinary tiger. Because its black striped fur was not orange-brown in color as its normal specimens, but it was instead a distinctive shade of blue. So as a natural reaction, he decides to shoot at this extraordinary creature in order to prove that it really did exist. But the tiger was watching two children near the ravine, and from his vantage point, he knew that if he was going to try to shoot it, he might injure the children. So in conclusion, he did not shoot at it. He moved a little to one side to alter his direction of the shot, and while doing so, he scared the tiger. Now, apparently, these tigers have been spied several times. Caldwell himself apparently had a sighting in spring of that same year, so 1910, in the spring, and others have been seen since, but none have been shot or captured. However, blue hairs have been found on trails nearby. And there was a rendering that an artist did based on his sighting. And yeah, it's like think of like a black and orange tiger, except it's white and blue. So still has black stripes, but is white and blue.
That is freaky.
Yeah. So apparently this is explained. Such tigers possess 2 mutant gene forms that in combination are responsible for this blue mauve fur. It's termed blue dilution. Apparently this also characterizes the Maltese breed of domestic cat, as well as a few freak specimens of the blue lynx and blue bobcat. And I've never heard of this. This is new to me.
Yeah, I'm looking at stuff right now. It's
this
cool
is an actual
looking,
thing.
Yeah.
So they're due to the action of modifying genes. So kind of crazy. Indian white tigers are well known nowadays, and a black tiger was born at the Oklahoma Zoo in 1970. Apparently.
So you talk about black tigers, and it always reminds me of Beastmaster. You ever seen that old movie?
I've not. I've heard the name before.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
I know.
I have to school you in
yeah, some of these old movies
yeah.
I need to write down.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that I'm old?
Older than me.
Oh God. I knew I hated you for some reason. No, so they did back in the 80s. I'm just going to interrupt here. Back in the 80s, they did a movie called Beastmaster with Mark Singer.
Okay.
And they had a tiger. The name of the tiger in the movie was Roo.
Okay.
And he was the Beastmaster, communicate with animals, right? Roo was the Beastmaster's friend, but they wanted it to be a black tiger, so they dyed the tiger's fur black.
Oh.
And it wound up dying because
oh no,
it had something to do with the dye did something with the way that the tiger's skin could. I don't think tigers sweat. I don't know, but it had something to do with being able to
like poison
evaporate heat or something like that. Anyway, the tiger wound up dying, and that incident right there directly resulted in PETA.
Yeah.
Or not PETA. I'm sorry, the American Humane Society.
Oh, okay.
Being involved in movies that animals are in. You know, where you see that thing where it says all animal stuff was monitored by blah blah blah, no animal was harmed. That was a direct result.
That was like the kickoff.
Roo the tiger died. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But they made the whole movie with the tiger.
Yeah. He lived through the movie.
He lived through the movie.
I mean, he wasn't in every scene.
Yeah,
so
of course not.
he freaking died because they dyed his hair black.
Damn. That's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that's not. I mean, it's not the same point, but in the original, what's the movie with Dorothy and Wizard of Oz? The woman who played the Wicked Witch of the West, I believe, got like 3rd-degree burns because her makeup was flammable. And in one of the scenes where she like burst into flames, she like caught on fire.
She really did burst into flames.
Actually did, yeah. It's just
she
crazy.
really did melt.
Really did melt, yes. Okay, so this last one here is probably the strangest. This, according to Carl Schuker, this is one of tropical Africa's most extraordinary cryptids. Is a walrus-like beast known as the Wandorobo. WA-Ndorobo. Actually, I'm sorry. I gotta step back. I got ahead of myself. It's a walrus-like beast known to the Wandorobo tribe as the Dingonek, Dingonek.
Okay.
And
there's actually a street band named Dingonek, according to Google.
No way.
Yes.
I wonder if they have the logo of the actual cryptid. That'd be sick. So its most famous Western eyewitness was an explorer called John Alfred Jordan, who in 1907 spied and unsuccessfully, once again, shot at one in the River Magori.
This is wicked looking.
Which runs into Lake Victoria. So he described it as basically 4.5 to 5.5 meters long, covered in scales, with a spotted back as wide as a male hippo. Hippo-sized footprints too, but also possessing long claws, a broad tail, and a massive head whose jaws sported a huge pair of projecting walrus-like upper tusks.
Yeah, I'm looking at the logo for the Dingo Neck Street Band, and it is exactly as you were describing.
No way.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's an awesome find. That's pretty cool. And so, the scales, Carl says the scales, if the scales were merely clumps of wet fur, as some cryptozoologists have suggested, then the dingo neck is probably mammalian. It's probably mammalian and bears a close resemblance to mystery beasts spotted elsewhere in Africa.
It's weird that you should find something called a dingo neck that is half walrus, half cat.
Cat walrus. Very strange.
Yeah, weird.
There's also a sort of water leopard in Central African Republic, water lion in Angola, and water lion in a Democratic Republic of Congo too, formerly Zaire. So weird stuff there. Would have, if only portable cameras were around then, I feel like we would have so much more experience. Although you think of all the Bigfoot sightings, and I mean, there are videos, a lot of them grainy, so who knows? But very weird stuff from there. And supposedly, I would say 2 out of the 3 are verified. At least one. I don't know about the blue tiger. Although there are, like I said, black tiger that was born at the Oklahoma Zoo. So, interesting stuff. My point in doing some of that real life, if you will, cat sightings was just to give a different reference. As previously explained, Sandman was going into more of the esoteric, if you will, mythic, definitely. And that's where I'm headed. So we head back over to Britain to read some anomalous big cat sightings. So it's interesting, the area where Sandman was talking about is, most of the areas he was talking about were in northern England. So Lancashire is located in northern England, just north of Manchester. Yeah, just north of Manchester. And then just south of there is an area known as Cannock Chase. Well, not an area. The Cannock Chase is around a city named Cannock. But if you're familiar with some of these alien big cat sightings, Cannock Chase is a huge hotbed and is home to famous stories about big cats or just like anomalous phenomena in general. And so, we head to Cannock Chase in England, or I should say that area in general. So I'm going to start out with actually from a website that I have interviewed, Tobias Wayland over at the Singular Fortean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, these that you're starting to talk about here
Yes.
are the ones that I'm more familiar with versus the dingo neck and
Yes, definitely.
so.
Yes, these are mostly, actually I think all of them are in England. Yeah, all of them are in that kind of Lancashire area that you were talking about. And this first sighting that Tobias talks about, this comes from a woman from Ashby in northwest Lancashire, England. So this was written back in 2017. She claims to have recently spotted a large anomalous black cat roaming her neighborhood. Just, out for a stroll, as a giant black cat would. So she was walking with her mother-in-law along a woodland path near her home when she saw this beast. And I've heard this description elsewhere described larger than a Labrador. So a Labrador dog, it's a good-sized dog, mostly a family dog. Very kind of, they're not like super athletic, but they're not super not athletic. So just kind of loping along, I would imagine. And this is on, this was in an area popular with dog walkers, this woman claims. So, the animal was eating something, and it appeared malnourished. They said, we were having a late barbecue, and I felt, like that post-meal walk that you need. She felt like she needed to go. And it was getting late, so they took she says a torch, but I'm assuming it was a flashlight of some sort. There was just about enough light.
I believe that's what the foreigners call flashlights.
Yes, yeah, as well as what do they call elevators, lifts, I think.
Yeah.
Especially
apartments
in
or flats.
Yeah.
Weirdos.
So as we were coming along the path, I saw something lying down, trying to figure out what it was. I kept looking at it, and I realized its head was going up and down because it was eating something and ripping it apart. My mother-in-law and I froze, and we walked backwards. Luckily, it didn't see us. She says people were saying, why didn't you take a picture of it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And...
Oh. I forgot to turn off the phone in the bunker.
It's a little intermission music. Nice. Put it in the pocket. So yeah, they were saying, why didn't you take a picture of it? And she was like, I was too frightened. She says she always thought it would be very stocky, but it was much thinner. So, yeah, as I read this, I'm thinking maybe there is some sort of anomalous cat that had escaped. Because if she's saying it's emaciated, from accounts where they're...
God, that was embarrassing. Hey, I'm sorry about that. That was so embarrassing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking, from accounts where you hear, a phantom dog or a phantom cat, I don't think you really hear that they're, emaciated or anything like that. It seems to be, a picturesque type of... Would you agree with that?
Yeah, are there huge?
Yeah, or they're very, very big.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking this account might be some sort of not cryptid, but just some cat that had got loose.
We know I have always wanted an exotic jungle mountain hybrid cat as a pet.
I know, right?
Mrs. Sandman is absolutely dead set against it. But God, how neat would it be to have one of those and just let it roam around the neighborhood and
just
kill stuff,
eat dinner. I mean, they're gonna kill whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my buddy Kyle, his grandfather lived in Venezuela when they were growing up. It's a long story, but basically his dad, they grew up in post-war Germany, and his dad had gotten a job in Venezuela. Anyway, they lived in Venezuela, and he had an ocelot, which is a small jungle cat, as a pet, and it would go out, find dinner, and just come back home.
Yeah. Back in my hometown, we had a guy that had a car dealership. It was Ford Lincoln Mercury Cougar dealership. There used to be a Cougar car, and
really?
it was like an offshoot, I think, of Ford or something like that. But he had a Cougar. That was the household pet.
No way.
And he when he did his TV commercials, he would have the Cougar in the
wow.
because that was the name of the the dealership.
Yeah.
It was, dude's name, Ford Lincoln Mercury Cougar. And he had the Cougar as a house pet. It would like sleep in the bed with him and his wife and stuff. And they would like let it. He had all kinds of stories about when the Cougar would get mad at him and fuck him up and stuff. And
my goodness!
But he kept this thing for years as the family
insane.
pet. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Only in Southeast Alabama, dude.
Yeah, a lot. You can say that about a lot of things in Alabama. Man, that's a good story. So interestingly enough, there was a second reported sighting in the same area by a man named Phil Cross. He is a self-described wildlife geek, and he saw a large black cat while on his way to a meeting. He called it a panther. It was blocking a countryside lane, so we have that sort of road aspect.
That's pretty big, pretty long.
Yeah, definitely. In Cotton Park, just a few miles from the sighting I previously mentioned. So, and then he kind of ends it with just experts question the existence of a population of actual big cats in Britain, especially a breeding population, because there's so many sightings. Like there was a puma found in Scotland in 1980.
Wow.
Largely blamed on escaped or released pets that had been kept illegally, which is, that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's totally plausible.
Yep. Certain cryptozoologists believe that Britain has secretly supported a population of leopards or other species of feral feline for thousands of years. And he says this is an idea that is supported by folklore stretching back to, as you were stating earlier, the beginnings of Celtic Vikings.
Yeah. And that's kind of consistent with some of the stuff that I found out when I was doing my original research with the AB. I was calling them at that point in time, which was the early 2000s. They were called ABC's alien big cats. Is what they were calling them. I think you called them anomalous.
Yeah, I saw anomalous too.
Yeah.
I like alien big cats personally.
Yeah, it sounds more exotic.
Yeah, for sure. So this is probably my last one here. This is concerning the Cannock Chase area. Yep, of Britain, which I mentioned a few minutes ago.
Cannock Chase has a lot of weird stuff going on.
Very weird stuff going on. So this is from Nick Redfern, actually.
I've interviewed him on the show. He is a super cool dude, man.
Yes, I've listened to multiple interviews. He's always great stuff. I think he's based out of Texas now, but Nick Redfern. If you're not familiar with that name, definitely go look him up. He has some incredible books.
He comes out with like a book like every 3 or 4 months. Man.
Yeah, the dude is a machine, just a machine, and they're all based on all different kinds of stuff. I mean, Men in Black to just weird stuff. So,
did you ever read 3 Men Chasing Monsters?
No.
You need to read that. That's what first turned me on to Nick Redfern. It is a great book.
Okay, I haven't read that.
Yeah, you need to. You got Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a Kindle?
Uh-huh.
Yep, download it.
Okay.
Download it, yep.
I'll do that.
I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. So this article Nick wrote was concerning some reports that appeared in the pages of the Chase Post newspaper. This isn't around anymore. And this was in 2006. And also some eye-opening accounts that appeared in the pages of the Birmingham Post. And Cannock is located, I think, just north of Birmingham. Just north of Birmingham. So relatable. It says, terrified Chase folk are certain a panther is living in their midst after a spate of fresh sightings in the forestland around their homes. That was reported by the Chase Post in March of 2006. And the newspaper cited the testimony of a man named Andrew Lomas, who had a close encounter of a distinctly weird kind in one of Cannock Chase's elusive big cats near Pye Green. This was late at night. Lomas states that I was riding through to Pie Green at around 11 p.m. when I saw something dark on the road in my headlights. At first I thought it was a deer, but it moved so fast, I got the impression it was something else. As I passed the spot where it had been, I slowed down and looked into the bracken. I could make out a pair of red piercing eyes staring back at me. It gave me chills. He drove off just straight away, and he sticks to his story that he saw an alien big cat, similar to what you were saying earlier with the red eyes.
Yeah. So apparently, glowing eyes is and the color black is a commonality in between the two species.
Very true. Yeah. And I mean, cat's eyes do glow in the dark.
Sure.
So
yeah, so do dogs.
So do dogs. Yeah. So do a lot of animals. Yeah. Because I mean, some of them hunt at night.
Shine a light into
exactly.
it. And that's why I think that what I saw had the glowing eyes is because my headlights were shining
for sure,
reflecting off of it. But
yeah.
Once again,
who knows?
I'm open for.
Yeah.
I prefer to think that I saw something otherworldly.
Weird. Yeah, exactly.
Probably not, but
So there was another report by Jeanette Mueller of Hednesford. I was out walking, with my boyfriend over Cannock Chase when we noticed a disturbance in the bracken. So I'm assuming bracken is like a forested area.
Water?
You say water?
Is it water, maybe?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I'm thinking brackish water is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The only thing...
Hey, I'll look it up while you're telling the story.
Check it out real fast. So, they noticed this disturbance. All of a sudden, this big black shape jumped up and took off up the hill. She's not sure what it was, but it was too big to be a domestic animal. And she said it made hell of a noise as it raced away. In the same period, 2 sensational stories of alleged encounters with big cats in the vicinity of Cannock Chase surfaced. The source of the first one was the Birmingham Post. This man had been crossing woods when, lying in the undergrowth, he noticed something distinctly strange, a huge skull of an unknown animal. He stated that it is not something you find every day. He further advised the Post that it looks like it's been there for some time. Looks like some sort of big cat to me. The fangs are enormous, and it's definitely not that of a dog or a fox.
Wow.
He expanded further. Nearby were a few other bones and a despicable trap, which was secured to a tree and had a bone caught in it. I think whatever it was must have got its leg caught and starved to death.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah.
I have a definition of bracken, by the way. It could be one of two things. It could be a large species of fern or a cluster of thicket, such as ferns or an overgrown area of ferns and shrubs. So that's probably what they're talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. This again poses a question: are we dealing with a living group of not canines, a living group of cats, big cats that have somehow just like managed to survive in this area, or is it some sort of anomalous interdimensional cat that is some sort of tulpa, which I think some of the sightings definitely are a sort of thought form, in my opinion. But I also think I think the possibility exists for there to be a sort of breeding population.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards the latter, that there's some sort of breeding population or something going on over there.
Yeah.
And the only reason I kind of lean towards that and not with the tulpa is because tulpa is usually formed with almost some sort of intent. you have to believe in what you're trying to manifest.
Yeah.
You have to almost have to will it into existence,
That's
or enough people have to believe in it to give it the existence, if that makes sense.
Yes, that is
so,
true.
I mean, not that it couldn't be a tulpa, because they certainly could be, or at least some of them could be. But that's an interesting theory. I don't think I've never heard anyone posit that theory before. You're the first person I've ever heard that say that, hey, these things could be tulpas. So, I mean, I said I describe myself as an open-minded skeptic.
Yeah.
I am always open to other explanations. So I think that's an avenue that probably needs more exploration.
Yeah, I would say so. And again, a very hard to prove, if
Yes,
impossible to prove. But yeah, I'm just thinking like especially some of the folklore stuff you talked about, like Odin's beast, or something around those lines that you mentioned earlier, and just like especially the invasions that happened from the Vikings and bringing over stories, and then there's all the stuff about like England being a breeding ground for a bunch of occultic activities,
for sure,
societies. So who knows? It's a lot going on.
Yeah. And, not that the UK is older than us, because, let's face it, we're all the same age as far as, land masses and stuff goes, countries. But definitely this been populated a lot longer than we have. And so there's all kind of stories and, generations and generations upon generations of stuff for stories. And the Native Americans here had no real form of passing anything on other than verbal stuff.
Yeah, it was all verbal, yeah.
And if you've never looked into Native American lore, it is some freaky stuff too. But most of their stuff involves like star beings and stuff like that. It's
shapeshifters out in New Mexico and all that. Yeah, Utah. Yep.
So, jury's out. Could black dogs and black cats be real? Are they otherworldly, or are they actually tulpas? And I think that is a great theory that you have brought forth there. So probably not provable, but great theory nonetheless. I certainly put some credence to it, but I think that it's more probable for the big cat stuff for there to be there's for me there's got to be a breeding population of these somehow.
I think of some sorts there is,
but also now I'm also going to play devil's advocate to my own theory here. So cats usually are they don't wander around in packs, unless you're talking about the big like African like lions and all that, because they have a pride.
Females hunt with pride,
but you look at tigers, and which is when you say alien big cat or whatever, you think about something more tiger-like than you would a lion. So you're going to think like a black panther or a cougar, a black cougar, or something like that. So those generally don't have large prides or packs, for
very independent.
lack of a better. They're kind of loners. So okay, so if they're going to breed, are they only going to breed with other melanistic cats, or
that's a good point. It's a very good point.
Or is it the fact that these particular black cats, the melanin gene is so strong that it's going to be the dominant gene?
Could be passed.
Yeah.
That's another good point. I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I mean, because you're talking about something that's outside of the normal.
Very true.
Then all things have to be considered, kind of. So maybe it is one of those things where their melanistic gene is just so dominant that no matter what they're going to breed with, the color is going to be black.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes my head hurt to think about it.
A lot of possibilities for sure.
Yes.
Couple final final things here. There's a little tidbit at the bottom of this Nick Redfern piece. It just says that a woman claimed to have raised an alien big cat, at least for a short while.
Yes.
So I'm just picturing her like feeding it every like couple days as it comes in.
I found this baby on the side of the road.
It just grows to be like 6 feet tall. Yeah.
So I have something for us here.
Yes, please.
So we're going to low tech this because I don't have the cable to run this through the board readily available.
Yeah.
So I'm just I'm gonna stick the mic down to this, but
Gotcha.
I have a track from the Dingo Neck Street Band.
No way.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
It's called Crystal Ball.
Oh,
and we're
okay.
gonna get to
Okay.
listen to this. So
Let's hear it.
Let me.
This is our first time listening to it, so all reactions are natural.
It is a jazz band. They're a brass band, so they have like trumpets and tubas and saxophones and stuff.
That's
so
wonderful.
yeah. So let's see what happens here. All right. It's low tech time. Let's see what happens here.
I like it. It's kind of got like a Middle East or type of a snake charming type of vibe. Like a mix of like New Orleans and snake charming. There's a lot going on, though. I will say there's quite a bit going on there.
So yeah, I'm not going to play the whole thing because
No,
it's like
yeah.
4.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
But that's the Dingo Neck Street Band. That's from their SoundCloud account, and they only have that one song uploaded on there.
That's all
it's
they
from
have?
2 years ago,
Oh,
and it's called Crystal Ball.
okay.
So apparently there's no vocalist going on, but
Yeah.
when you've got a band like that, you don't need it. So,
No, you don't.
and they're from Boston, I think. Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
They're from Brooklyn.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
seeing 2 followers on Spotify. So unfortunately, as much as I would like to say that they have a lot of music, I think that might be a rare find.
Yeah. So they do have a YouTube channel as well. I haven't
Okay.
checked that out either. They have Facebook.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's got Facebook. And they have an Instagram account.
Okay.
Let's see. How many videos do we have? They got 67 subscribers
On YouTube?
on YouTube, and they have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 whole videos.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a song that's 10 minutes and 21 seconds called Dance of the Dingo Neck. Wow.
Wow, that's a jam sesh right there.
Yeah.
That really is. Dang.
Interesting. But who'd have thought that maybe they could be the official band of World We Live In podcast.
That'd be sick. I think we need like I
Get
think
'em
we
to
need to
do
make
your-
a shirt of like of a dingo neck cryptid playing like a jazz flute or something.
That's awesome. Maybe you could call them up and get them to do a original theme song
Yeah.
to your show.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
I bet they would do it. You never know.
Yeah, you never know
You
until
never
you
know.
ask. That's very true.
So, final thoughts.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards the Tulpa. I'm leaning towards the Tulpa. I think that Tulpas are a very real thing, and just considering the history of the British Isles and how much culture they've had there, and the influence from the Vikings to the Celts. I think the possibility for such a thing to happen, in my mind, is very high. Yeah.
Now, is that with not just the cats, but the dogs as well?
Yes, that's
On
with the
both?
dogs as well. Yeah,
Okay.
I think. I think what happens is when there's all these traditional stories passing down and legends and whatnot, I think it creates almost like an unconscious type of reality, because everyone's thinking about the same thing. You're thinking about the same stories over generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It creates
All
like
right.
a cultural subconscious.
Okay.
Of tulpas. Yeah.
All right, I can buy that. I can get into that. I can get into that. Yeah. For me, I'm gonna differ just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the on the ABCs, I think they're definitely a breeding population going on over there. And as far as the black dogs are concerned, I think that's a combo of stuff. I think a lot of it is misidentification. I think that there is also a supernatural component to that as well. I really think that there is something to all of this, because it's kind of like Bigfoot.
It's very
there's
similar,
too many people that have seen it for there not to be something
Yes, agreed.
there.
Or have heard stuff.
Yeah. And just drawing from my own experience that I had with the black dog, I definitely saw something.
Mm-hmm.
There was something there. I don't know what it was. I'm open for it to be, well, it was a real black dog, but it was someone's pet type deal, but just the sheer size of this thing, it was big, not big as in wide, but it was tall and long, and the way that it ran was, the only way I can describe it is kind of like undulating. It was wavy like that. And the fact that it disappeared so quickly, if I could have turned around and have seen it continuing to run down the side of the road, I could say, okay, it was a dog.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it disappeared is what freaks me out the most.
For sure.
So, I think there's as far as the black dogs go, I think that there's a large supernatural component to that, but I also think that there's a lot of that is just simply misidentification, or you just you want it to be something
for sure
weird.
Yeah.
Especially if you go looking. It's like if you go looking for Bigfoot and you find something that looks like Bigfoot, was it really Bigfoot?
Exactly.
Unless he steps out from behind the tree and is like, dude, take a picture. Okay, but if you just see something in the woods and you're like, oh yeah, that was Bigfoot.
Exactly.
It's when you don't go looking for Bigfoot and then there's something in the woods. Those are more credible to me.
It's sort of like the rando nodding effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you have that intention. Yeah.
My wife and I were going to do that when we went to the COVID capital of the world, which was Florida, but we just didn't.
Yeah.
We should have, but there was other stuff to not do.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we're going to do the rando nodding thing again. We're totally going to do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
As I was thinking, oh man, I could do a whole episode about my rando nodding adventures.
You could. 100%.
And not the adventures I had. It's not interesting enough.
Some other people's adventures.
Yeah, there's
some weird stuff.
There's got to be something that I'm going to have to do it again myself a few times before I can say, okay,
there's something to it.
So exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Understandable.
Oh man, so we've got a lot of content, talked about a lot of stuff today. We're
was.
going on. Oh wow, we got 10 minutes to make it 2 hours.
Wow.
Can we do it?
Wow.
Can we
honestly,
go another 10
could.
minutes?
Yeah, we probably could.
Talking about random stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about something totally random here.
Yeah.
All right. What's the weirdest thing you've ever had happen to you? And don't worry, there's no censors on the internet.
Yeah. I've had I don't know. I don't think it was anything weird, but at the time I did play it out to be fairly strange. I was back during quarantine. I was back in Indiana, and I woke up.
So this is recent.
Very recent, yeah. So 3-4 months ago, 2 months, yeah, 3, probably around 3. Yeah, I woke up immediately, and I felt like something had touched my foot, and I was sleeping in bed, and I wasn't like, there was no sleep paralysis, so I was awake. I woke up immediately, as I'm a fairly light sleeper. But I also had like 3 blankets, so I think one of the blankets might have fallen off and hit my toe.
Okay.
At least I don't think it was anything weird, mainly because I don't want to.
That's how you're explaining it.
I'm rationalizing it out pretty much,
Gotcha.
yes. So that's, I really have not had many weird experiences. Yeah. So but it was strange. At the time, I was like, what the fuck was that?
So you said sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I have actually had a sleep paralysis event happen to me, and I would have to say that's probably one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
Freaky, scary, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't ever want to have that.
I can see where people who have experienced that will later on say, I was totally abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I don't ever, or I can't imagine having those regularly.
No, I can't imagine having them regularly either.
That would be absolutely. I mean, that would ruin like probably the rest of my day.
It was one time for me, and it wasn't any type. What I saw wasn't any type of alien experience. It was, remember The Ring?
Yes.
Not the. Well, I was going to say not the Japanese version, but it could be either one. But was it the? Yeah, it was The Ring where it had the chick coming out of the TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That was it.
Yep.
And the girl with the white dress and the long black hair and everything, that was the closest thing that I can describe to what it was that I saw.
Thanks.
In the doorway of my bedroom.
Ah, that's nice.
And it was coming to get me, bro. I mean, it was,
Yeah, I mean, I've heard plenty of stories.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It was the scariest thing to see this and know it's coming for you, and you can't do anything about it. You can't scream. You can't move. All you can do is just look at it and be like, and it was so freaky.
Yeah.
And after I, snapped out of it, I realized, pretty quickly
you're good.
What was going on, But during that moment, and it only lasted, I mean, it felt like 5 minutes, but it was probably more like 15 seconds,
exactly, yeah.
But it just felt so long. But man, it was so scary.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do
with. I
with.
was by myself too.
Oh shit!
It's not like I had some hot chick laying in the bed next to me. Nope, I was totally by myself.
I think a lot of it has to do with, and the stories I've heard, a lot of it has to do with the amount of stress you have. Yeah. But I don't know.
If I was under stress. I don't know.
But I just know that the stories I've heard people talk about, they were just under a ton of stress, and their brain was like not shutting off completely. And it's that mid ground where you're not fully in sleep mode. You're in this weird.
Yeah,
I don't even know what you call it.
There's a disconnect that your brain does that's supposed to keep you from acting out your dreams and like flailing around and hitting people and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And the switch is like not all the way off, but it's not all the way on either. It's in between, and you got that whole ethereal thing. And I think a lot of that can be where you heard the term hagging or old hag.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that could be where that comes from, because what I saw was definitely not an alien kidnapping me and taking me up to their spaceship to anally probe me. This was, that chick from The Ring is the only thing I can describe it. But I would say like an old hag, because the thing was in the doorway and it didn't move or anything like that, but it was either tall or it was floating. I can't remember which, but it was tall because the head of this thing was touching the top of the door.
Yeah.
Of the door sill. And it was coming at me. It wasn't moving, but I knew that it was coming for me, you know? And, it was...
Man.
Yep. if you don't have to have one, I wouldn't say don't choose to have one. If you
do
have any
not
control of it,
seek these out.
Don't go to bed and go, oh man, I hope I have a sleep paralysis event happen tonight. No, don't wish for that.
No. Not good.
Not
Bad
at
juju.
all. Well, see, that wasted enough time, so
Yeah,
we're good.
we're good.
Perfect.
Sweet.
We should do this more often.
We should.
Oh, man. Everybody, this about does it for this episode of ParaReality. I really hope that you learned something and was thoroughly entertained tonight. Let me know what your thoughts and ideas about it are. Send an email, sandman@parareality.com or worldweliveinpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email Eric. Or if you want to get in touch with me through my social media account, just go on Facebook and type in a search for ParaReality, or you can just go to facebook.com/sandman.parareality, I believe is how you can get to it from there. You can also follow myself and Eric on Twitter. Eric is World We Live Pod on Twitter, and mine is at ParaReal Radio on Twitter. And finally, you can always call the studio line at 615-692-1170 and leave me a message. That number to call is 615-692-1170. Sandman@parareality.com for me. For Eric, World We Live In Podcast @gmail.com. Twitter @ParaReal Radio or @World We Live Pod. So those are all the ways you can get in touch with us, me and Eric here on the show. Don't forget, you can always go to ParaReality.com and keep up with the latest paranormal news from what's going on all over the world. That content is updated pretty much on a daily basis. While you're there, you can have some fun and shop around in the ParaReality store. Watch some of the terrible videos that I've made over the years. Eric, have you ever seen some of the terrible videos that I've made?
No, I've heard you talk about them, though.
Oh, you should watch one. Just watch one. They're so horrible. There was a moment where I was like, I can do my own TV show. I could totally do this.
I mean, that's a lot of work.
Because it's YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
And now this was years ago, back before you got all the gadgetry and stuff. But I was trying to do it by myself, so it's like one camera angle.
That's tough.
And it's
switch.
I'm not. I've thought about doing videos for the podcast, like a lot of people do videos associated with their podcast, and it's them doing their podcast. I thought about doing that, and I may try it one day, but it's not it. I don't have a team of people. It's me,
Yep.
And unless you want to come over here one day and hold the video camera and do zooms and different angles and stuff, I'm not going to ask someone to do that.
No, that's
and I'm not going to go out and invest a whole bunch of equipment to have 4 or 5 different cameras so I can do different camera angles and show my desktop. And there's nothing on my desktop but my show notes.
Exactly.
Who the F wants to see that?
Yeah.
So I may do a just for something different, like every once in a while do a video.
Yeah.
But
we need to do a live show coming up, man. That would be fun.
we do need to do a live show,
that would be cool.
dude. Yeah, I used to do all 100% live shows back
you
in
used to do a
the
lot of
day.
that. Yeah.
I loved it. It was a lot because I was doing the live show, and that was back when I was on Live 365, so I had license to play music.
Yeah.
So every show I did was 2 hours, and I would do a break where I would play music in between the shows, and I also had the chat room running up. People were chatting me, and I'm talking, and I'm answering questions, and I'm doing the show, and I'm playing music. It was fun. I had a lot of fun, Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So you check out the show videos there on the extras page. And like I said, you can shop around the ParaReality Radio store, buy a T-shirt or something. And I also now have a Patreon account. So if you want to support the show in some small way, I would really, really appreciate it. All I got to do is go to patreon.com/ParaReality. Everything's affordable, like $5 a month or less. And it gives you the ability to get some exclusive content, hear some exclusive content, or even help create podcast episodes, or maybe even the chance to be a guest or a co-host. So learn more, go over to patreon.com/ParaReality. 100% of the proceeds go right back into producing quality content. And by the way, if you want to just follow us or follow me on social media, but you're not like a Facebook person or you don't have Twitter, you can just go to ParaReality.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, And you can follow my social media accounts right there, just in case you're interested. Social media is really where you find out all about what's going on in the world of ParaReality, because I do I post like guest stuff and show. I post links to articles and topics about shows that I'm going to do, and I do a lot of traveling and do some investigation. So I post all that stuff on social media. So that's really your one-stop shopping for ParaReality. And yeah, or you can support the show by going to patreon.com. That's really about it. Eric, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Stay safe out there, people. Make good decisions.
World We Live in Pod returning in November.
World We Live Pod. Yep, new apartment.
Yeah.
New season of the World We Live in. Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right, that's about it, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, let me know what you thought about it by emailing myself or Eric, or get in touch with us on our social media or Twitter accounts. Next episode of ParaReality is going to be on Friday, October the 2nd at 8 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you tune in, and find out. I hope this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. I hope you have a wonderful evening, great weekend, and I will see you guys again on October the 2nd.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true